Hello and welcome to Songs of Praise, for 1 week only with me, Anne Widdicombe. Presenting Songs of Praise has been a bit of a dream come true for me, and I'm going to be looking at something for which I'm famous. No, not as a Conservative politician, and certainly not for my skills on the dance floor, but as one of Britain's well-known spinsters, I'm going to be exploring being single. On Songs of Praise today, choosing a life of celibacy, life as a single parent, and being suddenly single after over 30 years of marriage. Fiona Castle talks about life after Roy, plus music from Christina Miles and some of my favourite hymns. When I was young, I assumed I'd marry. It was simply the norm. When I was a student at Oxford, I was in love, and again, I assumed I'd marry. But it just didn't happen. So I've never walked up a church aisle in a long white dress. For me, being single was a matter of chance and choice. Chance because Mr. Right didn't happen to come along. Choice because it was never a priority to go out looking for him. Some people are single because they want to be. But for others, they just haven't found somebody. Or they've become suddenly single as a result of life's upheavals. Divorce, perhaps, or bereavement. Our first hymn reminds us that God is faithful through all the circumstances of our lives. Father Christopher Jamieson has been described as TV's favourite monk. He appeared in the BBC Two series The Monastery and is now the director of the National Office for Vocation.
Literally, a vocation is a calling, and the person doing the calling regarding a Christian vocation is God, so it's what God calls us to. The Church offers 4 basic states of life as 4 basic vocations. The vocation to be a priest, the vocation to be a monk or a religious sister, the vocation to be married, and the vocation to be a single layperson.
You, and many like you, decided from the outset you were going to be single, you were going to consecrate your lives to God, you were going to forswear any relationship or a family or grandchildren, Are you glad you did that?
Yes, I'm absolutely delighted I did that. When I was 21, when I made that decision, my friends thought this was pretty strange and peculiar, and they went off to get married and were full of the joys of married bliss. I felt called to be a monk, but I felt very frightened at the idea of being celibate. But with the support of other people and by the grace of God, I persevered in responding to that call. And it's that sense of fulfilling something very special in your life which sustains you through moments that might be difficult to remain faithful.
It doesn't supply the intimacy, but if you are in a monastery or in a convent, you are surrounded by other people all the time. You've always got somebody to talk to confide in. The single lay person doesn't have that. I'm very happy in that state, but most people think I'm quite mad. Am I?
Well, of course, whether you're mad or not, Anne, is a separate question. But whether you're mad because you live on your own, I think the answer is no. Because the Christian tradition has always valued, going way back to the early church, you see actually, pictures of the great martyrs of the church and then the virgins of the church. And there was this great valuing of those who could live the single life.
Of course, the most famous example of singleness was Christ himself. Is that significant?
Yes, it's very significant. We know that in our Lord's day, most people got married. We also know that there was a significant but small number of single people who saw their singleness as a very special way of being dedicated to God and to the coming of the kingdom.
As a single woman, I don't think my life is in any way incomplete. But some people assume I can't possibly be contented, that I must be missing out on something. And that's nothing new. William Shakespeare, in both The Taming of the Shrew and in Much Ado About Nothing, referred to the old saying that women who died unmarried were destined to lead the apes into hell. And still, spinsters are portrayed as lonely and bitter, like Miss Havisham, or simply as just desperate for a man, like Bridget Jones. Like Bridget, Julie Dunlop was keen to meet Mr. Right, but it just hasn't happened.
I turned 40 this summer, and I guess if you had asked me when I was growing up, even when I was 25, 30, even 35, how I would have felt if I was single at 40, I will probably say the prospect would have filled me with dread. I was brought up in a Christian home, and my dad is a retired Baptist minister. And, you know, being in the Christian world, I think there is more pressure to get married and to have a family. But it hasn't worked out that way. Throughout my 20s and even 30s, I did date a lot of non-Christian men. And what became very clear for me was that it was important for me to meet somebody that I can not only share my faith with, but somebody who I can grow in faith with. It is difficult meeting Christian men. My dad talks about fishing in the right pools, and as you get older, those pools tend to be smaller anyway. And also, you know, if looking for a Christian, that pool then becomes even smaller.
Okay.
I go to a really amazing church that is very inclusive. Having said that, some of the churches I've been involved with in the past have focused very much on the family, and if you are not married with children, it was very difficult to feel part of the church. For me, I can honestly say that I have found contentment being on my own. I think principally because I've realised the importance of the quality of relationships we have in our lives, as opposed to being in a relationship. And by relationships, I mean our relationship with God, our relationship with our families, with our friends. You know, I really would like to meet the right person. Having said that, if it is God's will for me to be on my own forever, I'm okay being single.
Now there have been times I felt down. I didn't think anything would turn me around. But oh, I know that your healing hand can guide me back from the path from which I have strayed. Now I may gain power or money on earth, but if I don't have you, Lord, what is it worth? What is it worth? See, I may climb my way to the top, but if I don't come up the ladder with you, I'll surely drop. Your love, it takes away all pain, all fear, gives me hope. Your love, it gives me strength to fight the fiercest of storms. Your love, I can do anything in my life with you by my side. With your love, and I see it changing me. Oh, how I love you tenderly. I know I've got a newfound strength in me because of your love, your love. Your love, it takes away all pain, all fear, gives me hope. Your love, it gives me strength to fight the fiercest of storms. Your love, I can do anything in my life with you by my side because of your love, your love.